welcome to the program. I'm Amarachi Ubani. We begin with another blow to the International Criminal Court as Chad announces plans to withdraw from the tribunal, joining Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and Venezuela in starting the process of leaving the court. In a statement, the government said the ICC's effectiveness is limited and uneven, and accused the Hague-based institution of disproportionately focusing on African countries. The announcement comes amid allegations of Chad's suspected involvement in the war in neighboring Sudan between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Last week, Chadian Foreign Minister Abdoulaye Saber Fadoul said in a Facebook post that the United States had pressured N'Djamena to reconsider its ICC membership. However, the minister denied that the United States influenced Chad's decision to withdraw, saying the country no longer felt in step with the court as it currently operates. The ICC prosecutes individuals for war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and the crime of aggression. Earlier this month, the United States said it was launching a campaign against the court, describing it as an intolerable threat to the United States sovereignty. Let's shift attention now to the migration crisis in South Africa as Ghanaian Foreign Minister Samuel Blakwa calls for the arrest and the prosecution of those responsible for the killings of 2 Ghanaian nationals in the country. Mr. Blakwa made the call as Ghana entered the latest phase of its voluntary repatriations from South Africa. He said Accra would continue talks with Pretoria, but urges South African authorities to clamp down on those behind the violence. The latest evacuation follows weeks of anti-migrant protests and attacks in South Africa, where campaigners have blamed foreign nationals for crime and unemployment.
Let's hold a minute silence to remember our 2 brothers who died in South Africa, coming under attacks, killed by unknown assailants. We are still demanding justice, and we have written to the South African authorities that the 2 Ghanaians who have been killed, Mr. Bashiru Isaac and Mr. Kojo Eji, their killing must not be covered up. There has to be justice, and we will continue to demand thorough investigations, arrests, and prosecution of those who killed our beloved 2 compatriots, Mr. Bashiru Isaac, whose body we have received, and Mr. Kozoinchi, whose body we are yet to receive.
Meanwhile, South Africa says Nigerians who lost businesses and properties during the xenophobic attacks can still pursue legal ownership of those assets, provided they can establish proof of ownership. The Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of South Africa, Roland Lamola, gave the assurance during a media briefing after a closed-door meeting with the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Shola Nicolai, in Abuja.
As Nigeria and South Africa continue efforts to deepen diplomatic and economic relations, the lingering impact of xenophobic attacks on Nigerians remains a key issue. This meeting between the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs and the South African envoy is part of ongoing engagements aimed at seeking lasting solutions to the issue and also preserving one of Africa's most strategic bilateral relationships.
From 2022 alone, 98 Nigerians have died in mob actions, in hate-related actions that we have called Afrophobia, because we found that the preponderant victims of this ugly situation are Africans.
Nigeria and South Africa have a shared responsibility to respond to these challenges within the African continent of migration. Across the continent, migration remains a huge challenge that all of us have to work together to address.
The meeting then goes into a closed-door session. Sometime later, both ministers briefed the media. The South African envoy reaffirms the country's commitment to continuous engagement to de-escalating the crisis. On issues of abandoned assets and properties belonging to Nigerians, he assures that all hope is not lost.
The two countries will have to engage in a robust manner, but it must be measured. The public rhetoric must be de-escalated to enable us to zoom into the challenges. And in this regard, there is an early warning mechanism that the two countries are at an advanced stage of negotiating, which will enable us to deal with the early warning signs of the reoccurrence of this protest and the violence in particular. What I can state is that in terms of South African law, anyone who has their properties or who has their assets, there is a legal way for them to claim whatever property that might have been taken by anyone. So the procedures and the processes in the South African legal system enable such a process to unfold. But there was no discussion now, and there's no agreement. But if there is any Nigerian national who has a property, the property is in their name, it remains in their name until it has been legally and officially transferred to any other person.
For many Nigerians affected by the xenophobic violence, the promise of legal recourse may not erase the trauma and losses of the past. Still, it offers a renewed opportunity to pursue justice through established legal channels. From Abuja, Victoria Longjohn, Channels Television News.
3 people have been confirmed dead after a 2-story building collapsed and sank into the ground along Bale Road in Ajuwon area of Ifo local government area in Ogun State. The incident occurred yesterday, prompting an immediate rescue operation by emergency responders. According to the executive chairman of Ifo local government, Idris Kushimo, and the Southwest Zonal Director of the National Emergency Management Agency, Sahid Akiode, rescue teams recovered 3 bodies from the rubble, while 12 other occupants were rescued. Mr. Akiode attributed the collapse to visible cracks in the building that were not reported to the appropriate authorities, compounded by heavy rainfall. He added that the Ogun State Materials Testing Agency is constructing structural integrity assessments on nearby buildings to determine their safety and stability.
There has been some crack in the building, which they have been noticing. But as our people, they failed to inform the authorities in charge to take actions. And the thing cumulated to that, what we witnessed yesterday. Since yesterday, we have been carrying out search and rescue operations. Immediately, the agency NEMA was informed. We activated all response agencies. And since yesterday, we have been on ground. Currently, we are now doing out evacuations. The bodies recovered have been deposited. 3 bodies were recovered, while 12 are rescued alive in safe custody. So what is going currently now is evacuation of the debris, and also the Ogun State material testing are currently carrying out integrity tests to really ascertain the viability of other buildings that may likely be affected. But the situation is very peaceful now, while air research stakeholders, SEMA, NEMA, the local government, the state government have taken full responsibility of the response operations. The situation is calm and there is no cause for alarm. The agency is in full control in collaboration with the state SEMA. The support of La SEMA, where the chairman of the local government is equally here with us. So we can see all hands are on deck to ensure that we have a smooth operation. So what we are doing now is to try to bring the whole building to ground zero for easily for us to cite if there could be any other thing again.
With the help of the state government, we were able to mobilize equipment here to see how to save the people in it. And we were able to rescue about 12 people, including 2 children, about 41 days old babies, 2, and other adults. And but unfortunately, we lost 3 people, a mother, a daughter, and an elderly man. So we were here till about 11 p.m. yesterday, and we are here today, this morning, to clear the debris, to search further if we still have anybody that we can be fortunate to save.
And in Nigeria's southeast region, the Anambra State government has sealed the site of a collapsed three-story elite five-star lodge at Amokpala community near Oko, Ilorumba North local government area, pending a full investigation into the incident that claimed lives and left others injured. In a public statement issued early today, the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development expressed its condolences to the families of victims, assuring them that those rescued are receiving medical attention as investigations continue. He also said preliminary findings indicate that structural failure was the likely cause of the collapse, alleging the owners and management of the building were aware of the defects but failed to act. Reaffirming the government's commitment to enforcing planning regulations and building safety standards across Anambra State, he urged developers, landlords and property owners to comply strictly with approved building plans and structural requirements. We're in Niger now, where President General Abdurrahman Chiani has accused France, the European Union and other Western countries of funding armed groups in the Sahel, alleging that Paris financed and directed the June 18 attack on Niamey's international airport. President Chiani claimed the attackers were ordered to strike 3 targets simultaneously: the international airport, the presidential palace, and intelligence training center. He further accused France and its Western allies of waging what he called a campaign of neocolonization across the Sahel. However, France has repeatedly denied supporting armed groups or interfering in Niger's internal affairs. Relations between Niger and its former colonial power have deteriorated sharply since the 2023 military coup. The military-led government has expelled French forces and strengthened cooperation with Mali and Burkina Faso through the alliance of Sahel states. And in Sudan, the Rapid Support Forces commander, Lieutenant General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, has urged fighters to remain prepared and continue fighting, saying their mission is to protect civilians. Addressing the RSF Presidential Council, he urged the forces to adhere to military rules and change the game as fighting intensifies near El Obeid. Battles and drone attacks have intensified around El Obeid, the capital of North Kordofan state, as the Sudanese army and the RSF compete for control of areas surrounding the city. Meanwhile, the United Nations has warned of a growing threat to civilians, saying the violence is disrupting access to water, electricity, and humanitarian supplies. A Ghanaian court has acquitted a police colonel, Bienvenu Lamar, charged over the 2009 Stadium massacre. The September 28, 2009 crackdown took place when security forces stormed an opposition rally at a stadium in the capital, Conakry. Mr. Lamar, a military police officer who had been in custody since November 2022, was cleared of charges including complicity in abuse of authority, murder, abduction, and unlawful detention. The court ordered his immediate release. Prosecutors had sought a 10-year prison sentence, while lawyers representing victims said they would appeal the verdict. Meanwhile, the United Nations mandated Commission of Inquiry found that at least 156 people were killed during the massacre, hundreds more injured, and more than 100 women raped, as another human rights group claimed the true death toll was likely much higher. For survivors and victims' families, the case remains a symbol of the long struggle for justice nearly 17 years after the massacre. To bilateral relations, Israel and the Democratic Republic of Congo have reaffirmed commitment to deepening ties following talks between both countries. During the visit, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar and his Congolese counterpart, Therese Wagner, signed 2 memoranda of understanding aimed at expanding cooperation between the two countries. The agreements focus on diplomatic training and strengthening political dialogue between the two foreign ministries. The two ministers also discussed broadening cooperation beyond diplomacy, highlighting opportunities in trade, agriculture, technology, and healthcare. The visit marks another step in expanding relations between Israel and the DRC, with both governments expressing their intention to deepen political dialogue and explore new areas of economic and technical cooperation. The UN Refugee Agency has announced the appointment of South Sudanese Olympian and professional basketball player Wayan Gabriel as its newest Goodwill Ambassador. Born in Khartoum to parents who had fled the civil war in southern Sudan, Gabriel and his family fled to Egypt as refugees before being resettled to the United States when he was just 2 years old. He later earned a basketball scholarship to the University of Kentucky and went on to play in the NBA, including for the Los Angeles Lakers and Portland Trail Blazers. In 2024, he represented South Sudan at the country's first ever Olympics in Paris, marking a full circle moment for someone starting life as a refugee after his parents fled the country. He's now 29 years old, and Gabriel has supported refugees and UNHCR since 2022, when he first returned to South Sudan to witness the humanitarian situation and advocate for people forced to flee. Since then, he's continued to use his platform and lived experience as a former refugee to raise awareness and create opportunities for displaced communities across the world, particularly young people, through sports.
To understand about the humanitarian crisis in South Sudan is that they're already facing crises of their own. There's over 2 million people internally displaced currently, and now South Sudan has taken in over 600,000 refugees coming from the crises in Sudan. So this is a country that's already hurt, already struggling, and they're still accepting more people with open arms. I mean, the way I was able to witness the camp here in Ogun was really heartwarming. You know, they accepted people and they treat them as if they're South Sudanese, as if they're citizens. And after speaking to the people personally, they treat each other like family. And I think it's important that the community continues to grow like that. This lady that fled Sudan, and she was separated from her husband and her children. And I remember there's one thing she says, that she was not able to eat without knowing that her kids, what they ate. She was struggling to sleep without knowing if her kids were sleeping comfortably. She doesn't know if her kids are alive. That type of strength it takes to keep going forward after that is really powerful to me. It's something I'll never forget.
And there's still good news from South Africa. The Department of Correctional Services is challenging traditional perceptions of prisons by opening inmate art galleries to the public, giving offenders the opportunity to develop creative skills, sell their work, and prepare for life after release. Inmates at Levkop Correctional Center in Johannesburg paint canvases, mix colors, and shape sculptures, including a replica football trophy and a rhinoceros. Education and Training Manager Malifo Oj says opening the galleries to the public allow offenders to earn money from their work while preparing to return to society. He says art can encourage positive behavior inside correctional centers, keeping offenders busy and giving them an outlet for frustration. Officials say the galleries strengthen rehabilitation by giving offenders practical skills and constructive outlet while serving their sentences. South Africa's Department of Correctional Services has opened 9 prison arts and crafts galleries since 2023. The galleries sit alongside education and vocational training programs designed to help offenders reintegrate into their communities and reduce the risk of returning to crime.
We've got a lot of development programs. One of our programs include sports, that include education. So as Art Gallery is one of our programs that we bring into the offenders, the aim is to showcase the talent that the offenders are having. The other thing is to promote the creativity and the skill for them to be able to tell stories through training, through drawing, through showing their emotions when drawing the pictures. Some of the offenders don't even have a background of drawing. We take them through the training so that they can be able to tell their stories. So we also want to showcase the talent to the public. Hence, we're opening the art gallery to the public so that they can come and buy the projects that are created by the offenders. Art is playing a vital role in helping the offenders to have a behavior, that good behavior that is accepted in our centers. We keep them busy. Like I said in the beginning, that We want them to showcase their skills. Even those who cannot read or write, we allow them to express their feelings through drawing.
I told myself I want to change my life when I go outside, to do better to the community. When I go outside, it's when I start to create those things. If I'm stressed, I start to do some calabash and vase. Is when I started, and I become interested. Then I start to call other people, they join me.
And as we end the program, as promised, here's our fun fact for the day. Lesotho is the world's only independent country where the entire territory lies above 1,000 meters above sea level, earning it the nickname the Kingdom in the Sky. Its lowest point sits at about 1,400 meters, giving the mountainous nation a cool climate, breathtaking landscapes, and some of Africa's highest inhabited settlements. Interesting, right? Thanks for watching Network Africa. I'm Amarachi Ubani.